Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Cup English. I'm Liam.
And I'm Chloe. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Whether you're listening on your way to work, making coffee at home, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself, we're really glad you're here.
Yeah, truly. This podcast is all about real English, real conversations, and real life. Nothing too perfect, nothing too scripted.
Exactly. Just two people talking, sharing thoughts, sometimes agreeing, sometimes not, but always keeping it honest.
Before we get started, we want to remind you, if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow Daily Cup English.
We upload new podcast episodes every single day, so you'll always have something new to listen to and practice your English with.
And if you're a regular listener, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate you being part of this daily routine with us.
All right, Chloe. Today's topic is a pretty emotional one, but also a very real one.
Yes, today we're talking about something many people experience, but don't always talk about openly.
The topic of today's episode is Healing from Past Love to Welcome New Love.
Just hearing that title might already bring up some feelings for some listeners.
Definitely, because almost everyone has been hurt in love at least once.
And after a breakup, people often say things like, I want to love again, but at the same time, they feel scared, closed off, or unsure.
Right. You might want a new relationship, but part of you is still living in the old one.
Or you tell yourself, I'm over it, but your heart reacts differently when you meet someone new.
That's why we thought this topic was important, because healing from past love isn't just about the past. It affects how you love in the future.
Exactly. And healing doesn't always look the same for everyone.
Some people think healing means forgetting everything or never feeling pain again.
But for many people, healing is much more complicated than that.
So today, we want to talk honestly about questions like, do you need to fully heal before you start loving someone new?
Do you need to fully heal before you start loving someone new?
Can you heal while being in a new relationship?
And how do you open your heart again without repeating the same mistakes?
We'll share our own experiences, different opinions, and some things we've learned over time.
This isn't advice from experts. It's just a real conversation.
A conversation you might relate to, especially if you've ever loved deeply and gotten hurt.
So if you're ready, let's get into it.
So, Chloe, maybe we can start with something personal. When you think about your past relationships, what was your first reaction after things ended?
Honestly, at first, I told myself I was fine.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I remember saying things like, I'm okay, or I don't need anyone right now. And on the surface, it looked true. I went to work, met friends, lived my normal life.
But inside, it wasn't really okay.
Not at all. Inside, I felt tired. Not just sad, but emotionally tired. Like I didn't have the energy to care about love anymore.
That emotional tiredness can be heavy.
It really is. And I think for me, the hardest part was trust. After that relationship ended, I didn't just lose a person. I lost trust in my own feelings.
That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
I started questioning myself. I thought, how did I not see the signs earlier? Or why did I stay when things didn't feel right? So when the relationship ended, I wasn't only hurt by the breakup, I was disappointed in myself.
I get that. I felt something similar before.
Yeah, and that made it harder to open up again. Even when someone new showed interest, my first reaction wasn't excitement, it was fear.
Fear of getting hurt again?
Exactly, and also fear of making the same mistakes.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. For me, though, my reaction was a little different.
How so?
After my last serious relationship ended, I honestly thought I had already healed. I didn't feel sad anymore. I wasn't crying or thinking about my ex all the time.
So you felt ready to move on?
Yeah, I thought, okay, I'm good. I've learned my lesson. I can start fresh. But later, I realized I wasn't as healed as I believed.
What made you realize that?
Small things. When I started talking to someone new, I noticed my reactions were different. If they didn't reply to a message quickly, I felt anxious.
Even if there was no real reason?
Exactly. Or if they needed space, I immediately thought, oh, here we go again. My mind went back to my past relationship without me noticing.
So the past was still controlling how you felt in the present.
Yes, and that surprised me, because I truly believed healing meant not feeling pain anymore.
That's such a common belief.
It is. I thought healing meant being strong all the time, not caring, not getting attached too easily.
But in reality, that sounds more like emotional protection than healing.
Exactly. I wasn't healed. I was guarded.
That's a really important difference.
Yeah, and I think many people confuse the two. They say, I'm over my ex, but what they really mean is, I don't want to feel that pain again.
I agree. For me, I noticed I was doing something similar, just in a different way. I avoided emotional closeness.
Like keeping people at a distance?
Yes, I would be friendly, open in conversations, but when things started to feel deeper, I pulled back.
What were you afraid of in those moments?
I was afraid that if I let someone get close, I would lose myself again. In my past relationship, I gave too much and forgot my own needs.
That can leave a strong mark.
It really does. So after the breakup, I promised myself I wouldn't let that happen again. But instead of learning balance, I just built walls.
So, in a way, both of us thought we were protecting ourselves.
Yes, but that protection also blocked new love.
And that's where healing becomes complicated.
Because healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about understanding why we react the way we do.
And noticing those reactions when they show up.
Exactly. And that's usually when you meet someone new.
Right, the past doesn't always show up when you're alone, it shows up in relationships.
Which makes the question even more interesting.
Yeah, do we really need to heal completely before dating again?
Or is it possible to heal while being in a new relationship?
So let's talk about that question. Do you think someone needs to fully heal before they start dating again?
Honestly, I think yes. Or at least mostly heal.
Mostly heal? That sounds a bit more flexible.
Yeah, because I don't believe anyone is ever 100% healed, but I do think you need to understand your wounds before bringing someone new into your life.
I see what you mean, but I don't completely agree.
Of course you don't. I was waiting for that.
I think healing can also happen inside a new relationship. Sometimes you don't even realize what you're carrying until someone triggers it.
That's true, but isn't that risky? What if your unhealed pain hurts the other person?
That can happen, but I think it depends on awareness. If you know you're still healing and you're honest about it, it can actually be healthy.
I'm not sure. From my experience, when I dated before I was ready, I ended up projecting my fears onto the other person.
Can you give an example?
Sure, I remember dating someone who was very kind and consistent, but every time he got busy or didn't text for a few hours, I felt anxious.
And that anxiety came from the past.
Exactly. It had nothing to do with him, but I still reacted emotionally, and it created tension.
I've been on the other side of that, dating someone who was still healing but didn't realize it.
How did that feel?
Confusing. One day everything felt close and warm, and the next day they pulled away. I didn't know what I had done wrong.
That's exactly why I believe healing should come first.
But here's my question. How do you know when you're healed enough?
That's a fair question.
Because if we wait until we feel completely safe and confident, we might never date again.
That's true. Fear can always find a reason to stay.
Right. And sometimes a healthy relationship can actually help you heal parts of yourself you couldn't heal alone.
I agree with that, but only if both people are emotionally responsible.
What do you mean by emotionally responsible?
I mean, being able to say, this reaction is about my past, not about you, and not blaming the other person for your pain.
That's a big skill.
It is, and not everyone has it right after a breakup.
True. I guess my point is, healing doesn't have a finish line. If we wait for a perfect moment, we might miss real connections.
And my point is, if we ignore our wounds, we might repeat the same patterns again.
So maybe it's not about being fully healed.
But about being aware.
Yeah, being honest with yourself.
And honest with the person you're dating.
That honesty can make a big difference.
It can, because then healing becomes something you're working on, not something you're hiding.
I like that. Healing as a process, not a condition.
Exactly. And when you see it that way, welcoming new love doesn't feel so scary.
It feels more real.
And more human.
You know, when people talk about healing, I think everyone imagines something different.
That's true. Some people think healing means forgetting the past completely.
Or never feeling pain again.
Which honestly sounds impossible.
Yeah, if that were healing, I don't think anyone would ever be healed.
For me, healing doesn't mean erasing memories. It means understanding them.
Understanding what happened.
Yes, understanding why the relationship didn't work, what role I played in it, and what I learned from it.
That part about your own role is important.
It is, and it's also uncomfortable. It's much easier to blame the other person.
Definitely. Blame feels safer than self-reflection.
Exactly. But when I finally stopped blaming and started asking myself honest questions, things changed.
What kind of questions?
Questions like, why did I ignore my needs? Or why was I afraid to speak up? Not in a way to judge myself, but to understand myself.
That sounds like real healing.
It felt like it, because once I understood those patterns, they had less power over me.
For me, healing showed up in my emotional reactions.
How so?
I noticed that situations that used to trigger strong emotions didn't affect me the same way anymore.
You mean you felt calmer?
Calmer, yes, not emotionless, but more stable. I could pause before reacting.
That pause is huge.
It really is. Before, I reacted automatically. If I felt ignored, I shut down. If I felt insecure, I became distant.
And healing gave you more choice.
Exactly. I could choose how to respond instead of being controlled by old wounds.
I love that idea. Healing as gaining choice.
Me too. It's not about being perfect, it's about being aware.
And I think healing also means accepting that the past did affect you.
Not pretending it didn't matter.
Yes, when people say, it didn't affect me, sometimes that's not strength, sometimes it's denial.
That's a good point.
For a long time, I told myself I was strong because I didn't cry anymore, but deep down, I was just numb.
Numbness can feel like healing, but it's not.
Exactly. Healing brought my feelings back, but in a healthier way.
I experienced that too, feeling again without being overwhelmed.
And I think that's when you know you're healing, when you can feel sadness without drowning in it.
Or remember the past without wanting to run away.
Yes, you can look at it and say, that was painful, but it shaped me.
And it doesn't define your future.
Right. Healing is about separating who you are now from what happened before.
That separation creates space,
Space for something new.
including new love.
Exactly. When healing happens, new love doesn't feel like a threat anymore.
It feels like a possibility. You know, even when people want to heal, they often make mistakes about realizing it.
So many mistakes, and most of them come from wanting to feel better as fast as possible.
Yeah, one of the most common ones I see is jumping into a new relationship too quickly.
I've done that before.
Same here.
At the time, it felt like moving on, but looking back, it was more like avoiding being alone.
Exactly. Being alone can feel uncomfortable after a breakup.
Especially if you were used to sharing your life with someone every day.
So people look for a replacement instead of healing.
And the new person ends up carrying emotions that don't belong to them.
Another mistake I've noticed is constantly comparing the new person to the ex.
Oh, that one is dangerous.
Very. Even small things like, my ex used to text me more, or my ex understood me better.
Those comparisons quietly kill new connections.
They do, because the new person never really gets a fair chance.
And honestly, it's not fair to yourself either. You're still living in the past.
Another mistake is pretending to be okay when you're not.
Yes, saying, I'm fine, when you're actually hurting.
I think people do that because they don't want to feel weak.
Or they don't want to burden others.
But ignoring pain doesn't make it disappear.
It usually comes back later in different ways.
Like anger, anxiety, or emotional distance.
Exactly. And then there's the mistake of blaming all future problems on the past relationship.
You mean saying things like, I'm like this because my ex hurt me.
Yes, that might be true, but staying in that mindset keeps you stuck.
At some point, healing means taking responsibility for how you act now.
Not for what happened, but for how you move forward.
I also think people make the mistake of setting unrealistic expectations for healing.
Like expecting to feel better in a few weeks?
Yeah, or expecting healing to be a straight line.
But it's not. Some days you feel strong, and other days the past hits you out of nowhere.
And that doesn't mean you're going backward, it just means you're human.
Another common mistake is closing the heart completely.
Thinking, I'll never love again, or love isn't worth it.
Those thoughts usually come from pain, not truth.
Yes, they're a form of protection, but long-term, that protection can turn into loneliness.
Healing isn't about building higher walls, it's about building healthier boundaries.
That's such an important difference. And I think once people understand that, healing becomes less scary.
And more honest.
After a breakup, I think fear becomes a quiet companion.
Yes, it doesn't always speak loudly, but it's always there.
Fear of trusting again.
Fear of opening your heart and losing control.
And maybe the biggest one, fear of feeling that pain all over again.
I remember telling myself, I survived it once, I don't want to survive it again.
That makes so much sense.
At that time, love didn't feel beautiful. It felt dangerous.
I think many people feel that way, but they don't say it out loud.
Especially when everyone around you says things like, you'll find someone better, or just move on.
Those words mean well, but they don't really touch the fear.
No, they don't, because fear isn't logical.
Exactly. You can understand something in your mind, but your body still reacts.
For me, fear showed up as control.
Control in what way?
I tried to control my feelings. I told myself not to get attached too quickly, not to care too much.
Did it work?
Not really. It just made everything feel tense.
I had a different reaction. I became emotionally distant.
Like keeping people at arm's length?
Yeah, I stayed friendly, but I didn't let anyone get close enough to hurt me.
That distance feels safe at first.
It does, but after a while, it feels empty.
Fear can protect you short-term, but it costs you connection long-term.
That's very true.
And the tricky part is, fear often pretends to be wisdom.
How so?
It says things like, you're just being careful, or you're being smart now.
But sometimes it's just fear wearing a smart mask.
Exactly. And unless you look at it honestly, you start living smaller.
I noticed that fear also made me judge new people too quickly.
Yes, looking for red flags everywhere.
Even when there were none.
Because your nervous system is still in survival mode.
That's a good way to describe it.
For me, healing meant learning to sit with fear instead of letting it decide everything.
So you didn't try to get rid of fear?
No, I just stopped letting it drive.
I like that. Fear in the back seat, not the driver's seat.
Exactly. And that took time.
And patience with yourself.
A lot of patience.
I think welcoming new love doesn't mean the fear disappears.
It means you don't let fear close the door completely.
You open it slowly.
At your own pace.
And that pace doesn't need to match anyone else's.
That's such an important reminder.
You know, for a long time, I blamed my past relationship for everything that went wrong after.
I think that's very human.
It felt easier to say, I'm like this because of my ex.
Because then you don't have to look at yourself.
Exactly. And I don't mean that in a harsh way. I just wasn't ready yet.
I get that. Blame can feel like a shield.
But at some point, I realized blaming the past was keeping me stuck in it.
What made you realize that?
I noticed I was repeating similar patterns, just with different people.
That's usually a big sign.
Yeah, different faces, same emotional story.
I had a similar moment. I kept saying I had bad luck in love.
That sounds familiar.
But then I asked myself, if it's always bad luck, why does it keep happening to me?
That question can be uncomfortable.
Very, but it was also freeing.
Because it gives you back your power.
Exactly. When you stop seeing the past as something that ruined you, you start seeing it as something that taught you.
For me, my past relationship taught me about emotional avoidance.
Meaning,
I learned that when things got hard, I pulled away instead of communicating.
that's a powerful realization.
It was painful to admit, but it helped me grow.
My past love taught me about boundaries.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, I learned that love without boundaries slowly turns into self-neglect.
That lesson stays with you.
It does, and when I stopped blaming the relationship and started learning from it, something shifted.
In what way?
I felt less angry, less bitter.
Anger can tie you to the past.
It really can, and once I let go of blame, I felt lighter.
I think learning doesn't mean saying the pain was okay.
No, the pain was real.
And sometimes the other person truly did hurt you.
But staying in blame keeps the wound open.
While learning helps it close.
Exactly. Learning turns pain into wisdom.
And wisdom changes how you love next time.
It makes you more aware.
More intentional.
And more kind to yourself.
That kindness is part of healing too.
Yes, because welcoming new love starts with how you treat yourself.
And the past doesn't have to be an enemy.
It can be a teacher.
So after all this talk about healing, learning, and fear, there's one big question left.
How do you know when you're ready to welcome new love?
Yeah, is there a clear sign, or is it just a feeling?
I don't think there's one perfect sign, but there are small changes you can notice.
Like what?
For me, one big sign was when I could think about my ex without feeling angry.
That's a big one.
Not happy, not sad, just neutral.
That emotional neutrality is powerful.
It shows the wound isn't controlling you anymore.
Another sign I noticed was being comfortable being alone.
Yes, that's so important.
When you're okay spending time by yourself, you're not looking for someone to fill a gap.
You're looking for connection, not rescue.
Exactly, and that changes the quality of the relationship.
I also think you're ready when you stop rushing.
Rushing into labels, plans, or emotional closeness.
Yes, when you allow things to develop naturally.
For me, another sign was taking responsibility for my emotions.
Meaning,
If I felt insecure or anxious, I didn't immediately blame the other person.
you looked inward first.
Right. I asked myself, is this about now or is this about my past?
That level of self-awareness changes everything.
It does, and it prevents a lot of unnecessary conflict.
I think another sign is being honest about your needs.
Instead of pretending to be easygoing all the time.
Yes, saying what you need without fear of being abandoned.
That fear used to control me.
Me too.
But when you're healing, you realize that the right person won't leave just because you express yourself.
And if they do, then they weren't right for you.
Exactly. Being ready doesn't mean being fearless.
It means being brave enough to show up as yourself.
With your past, but not controlled by it.
And I think the biggest sign of all,
What's that?
you're open to love, but you don't need it to feel whole.
That's a beautiful place to be.
It really is.
Because from that place, love becomes a choice.
Not a dependency.
So once you notice those signs, the next question is, how do you actually open your heart again?
Yeah, knowing you're ready is one thing, doing it is another.
For me, the biggest lesson was learning to go slow.
Slow sounds simple, but it's actually very hard.
It is, especially when you finally feel a connection after a long time.
That excitement can make you forget everything you learned.
Exactly. So slowing down helps you stay grounded.
For me, opening my heart again meant being honest from the beginning.
Honest about what?
About where I was emotionally. I didn't pretend to be completely healed or completely confident.
That honesty creates trust.
It does, and it also removes pressure.
Pressure to be perfect.
Yes, I allowed myself to say things like, I'm still learning how to trust again.
That takes courage.
It does, but it also invites understanding.
Another thing that helped me was not placing all my happiness on one person.
That's huge.
Keeping my own routines, friendships, and interests.
So love becomes part of your life, not your whole life.
Exactly. That balance makes opening up feel safer.
I also learned to listen to my body.
What do you mean by that?
If I felt constantly anxious or tense around someone, I paid attention.
Instead of ignoring it like before.
Yes, opening your heart doesn't mean ignoring red flags.
It means staying aware while staying open.
That awareness builds confidence.
I think another important part is letting go of expectations.
Expectations based on the past.
Yes, not expecting the new person to hurt you the same way.
Or expecting them to heal you.
That's a big one.
Healing is your own responsibility. Love can support it, but it can't replace it.
Opening your heart again also means accepting uncertainty.
Love always comes with risk.
But avoiding risk means avoiding love.
And I think healing teaches you that you can survive pain.
So the fear doesn't control you anymore.
Exactly. You open your heart not because you're fearless,
But because you trust yourself.
to handle whatever comes.
One thing I used to fear about loving again was losing myself.
I relate to that so much.
In my past relationship, I slowly adjusted my life around the other person.
Without even noticing it.
Exactly. And when it ended, I felt empty, not just because the relationship was gone, but because I didn't recognize my own life anymore.
That kind of loss can be just as painful.
It really is. That's why this time, welcoming new love felt different.
How so?
I made a promise to myself to stay connected to who I am.
That's powerful.
Simple things like keeping my routines, my hobbies, and my time alone.
I used to think doing things alone meant I wasn't committed enough.
Same here.
But now I see it differently. Having space actually makes love healthier.
It does. Space allows both people to breathe.
For me, welcoming love without losing myself meant setting boundaries.
Boundaries used to sound cold to me,
Me too. I thought boundaries meant distance.
but they actually create safety.
Yes, when you know your limits and express them, resentment has less room to grow.
I also learned to speak up earlier.
Instead of staying silent to keep the peace.
Exactly. Silence used to feel easier, but it always came at a cost.
And that cost was yourself.
Right. Welcoming new love shouldn't require self-sacrifice.
It should invite self-respect.
I think another part of not losing yourself is staying emotionally honest.
Not pretending you're okay when you're not.
Yes, sharing your feelings without fear of being too much.
The right person won't see your honesty as a problem.
They'll see it as trust.
And when both people feel safe being themselves, love feels lighter,
Less stressful.
more real.
Welcoming new love then becomes an addition, not a replacement.
It adds to your life instead of taking over it.
And that kind of love feels sustainable.
It does, and it honors both people.
As we come to the end of today's conversation, I just want to say this.
If you're listening right now and you're still healing, you're not behind.
You're not broken.
And you're not doing anything wrong by taking your time.
Healing from past love isn't about rushing into something new.
It's about becoming more honest with yourself
More aware of your patterns.
and more gentle with your heart.
Welcoming new love doesn't mean forgetting the past.
It means learning from it and choosing differently,
Choosing connection without losing yourself.
choosing openness without ignoring your boundaries,
And choosing love not out of fear or loneliness.
but out of readiness and self-respect.
If love feels scary right now, that's okay.
Fear doesn't mean you're weak,
It means you care deeply.
and that ability to care is still inside you.
So take things one step at a time.
Go at your own pace.
Trust yourself to know when you're ready.
And remember, you don't need to be perfect to be loved.
You just need to be present.
Thank you for spending this time with us today.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Daily Cup English.
Follow the podcast so you don't miss our daily episodes.
We're here every day sharing real conversations to help you practice English and reflect on life.
Until next time, take care of yourself.
And take care of your heart.
See you in the next episode.